so motivating.
Yeah.
It was
Yes.
so good, and the food was out of the world.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of blessings and there was a lot of energy there, which is amazing. I've never felt it so close. Like I've been to Toronto Yath Yatra, I will go
Mm.
still, but the amount of energy and togetherness was phenomenal.
Very
Phenomenal.
nice. That's a good feedback. Yes. Yes. I think when something is done from the heart, not just for the sake of doing, but something from the heart, then that's a different energy. And then Lord actually reciprocates and gives his blessing, mercy. So here, luckily we have all the devotee volunteers who are doing everything without even asking. They were there, like, so, because sometimes you do out of compulsion, but if something is done from heart, that's what actually Lord is looking for, like भाव, right? हम बोलते हैं भाव, भगवान भाव के भूखे हैं. आप कोई भी चीज भाव से करते हैं तो उसका impact है, the impact it makes is 100 times bigger than any other.
Absolutely. बिल्कुल सही बोला.
Yes. So even the security guys over there in the park, they also realized. They were saying, because there were multiple events going on in the same area, like there was another area B where the multicultural festival going. So these people who don't know anything about bhakti, right, they were just traveling around and making sure. So he was saying there were very positive vibes coming from your area, and the mood was very high, and everything was very good. At your attitude of all the people there were good, so they were even able to sense that. So I was very happy when I was talking to security guys, and they were saying that you really had a party. They were thinking, they didn't know what we are doing, so for them it's like a party we are gathering. But and I saw a couple of white police ladies also came, and they also took prasad. So unknowingly, all of these people were thinking this is basically a food, like we are giving
Mhm,
free, but
mhm.
they took prasad. So now, so that will counter some of their sins which they have been accumulating, because in this part of the world, unfortunately, except the devotees who are practicing, all others are kind of practicing sinful activities, sin, and we are accumulating unknowingly. We are keep on accumulating sins, and that is the result. That is the cause of our suffering in this world. But coming to these kind of festivals definitely will help them to counter that, and also will give them opportunity in future to practice. So yeah, so it was wonderful. Like I reached at the spot at around 7:45 a.m. and but I saw already the devotees were already there. I was very astonished. Like 7 a.m. people reached, and this is after a day before we were at the temple to uh, like basically get everything what is required to load it in the truck so that we don't miss anything. So devotees were at the temple a day before till 10 p.m. Even after that, they turned out and were there for all the work in the morning. And good thing which I really liked is even our youth was very much engaged. So there are certain people, because youth is very important, because if we can engage our youth, particularly the age group of 20 to 25, or I would say 15 to 25, then they will be able to carry this forward. But if we miss taking them on board with this process of bhakti, then there would be a lag. Like, so that's how normally the movement gets started. But if we don't plan for future, then it gets abruptly stopped. So we had such good youth participation as well yesterday. It was
Yes,
very
Prabhu.
nice. Okay, so let's start today's session. Let me share my screen. Another thing in bhakti is that it's uninterrupted and unmotivated. That is the topmost bhakti. It's called uninterrupted, means it continuously goes. It's like a second nature when it becomes. For example, we don't we don't basically make any effort to take breathe in and breathe out, right? Nobody realizes we are taking every second breathing and breathing out. It becomes very natural just for sustenance. Same is the case with bhakti. It becomes normal, or I would say automatic. So that is one of the aspects of bhakti, uninterrupted, keeps on going on. Like there is no something. Sometimes in our you can say professional work, there is a holiday, right? Saturday, Sunday we take rest. But in bhakti, it's the devotees enjoy that. Those who are practicing, they enjoy that. They don't want to stop. So it keeps on going. So even though we had a program yesterday and everyone was physically tired, but internally everyone was very much satisfied with the happiness they achieved. Now that cannot be, you can say, that happiness which one gets through the spiritual means, it cannot be measured by any material means. Like for outside people who are materialistic, they will not never understand what pleasure these devotees are getting in organizing this and doing that. So they always think why these people are so much making so hard work, getting up early in the morning, 4 a.m., doing all this. So they will never understand. But those who get into the process and taste that, they will only tell. So that is another aspect that people from outside, they will never be, they are not able to understand what is happening. So Srila Prabhupada was saying, like, for when he was present, because he was a pure devotee of the Lord, just by seeing Srila Prabhupada, people just used to surrender to him. You say, like, everything they surrendered just by seeing, because he has so much potency he was carrying with him, right? So they were working for him day and night. The young, the white people, that too white people, they left their homes and they moved into the temple, and they were working very hard day and night to make this movement a success. So Prabhupada says the corporates pay millions of dollars, right, to run their businesses, and he's not paying anything, not even a penny to anyone. And all these white devotees were working day and night for him to make this wonderful temples all over the world. So he says materialistic people will never understand this, that how come a single person was able to establish so much and could do so much, because he has the blessings of the Lord, he has the backing of the Lord. And those white devotees were able to taste that nectar of bhakti, and that keeps them going. Even after 50, 60, 70 years, there are certain devotees who are still around, who joined the movement, this Hare Krishna movement, in late 60s, early 70s, right? So in our materialistic life, people used to, there's a concept of retirement, like you retire after working 60, 65, because you're done with your work. But here in Bhakti, it keeps going on and on and on. And the more you practice, the more you relish and the more you want to do. So sometimes our physical condition does not allow, but internally we keep on doing. That is another aspect. Okay, let's start today's class. And so I'll start with these prayers. Om Agyanam Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadudam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenbandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Bhavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pucharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasha Deshatarine. Okay. So now we will, in the last two sessions, we covered certain aspects like of soul. Soul is we. We are actually spirit soul who are covered with this two types of bodies, subtle body and gross body. Subtle body made up of three things: mind, intelligence, false ego. And our gross body is made up of five elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. So we discuss all those aspects of the soul, that how soul is so small. Its size is 1/10,000 of the tip of the hair, how it cannot be killed or destroyed by any means. So it's like Avinashi, meaning it's eternal. So that's why it's called eternal. Soul is always eternal. So we are all eternal beings. We will never, there was never a time where anyone can trace when we came into existence. And there will never be that any one of us will cease to exist. We'll always be there. And why we are there? Because we are part and parcel of the super soul or Supreme Lord. And because Supreme Lord carries all these qualities, so we also inherit those qualities from Supreme Lord, but he has all the qualities in full, 100%. Only difference is we carry those qualities in minute quantity. We have all the qualities, but in less quantity, right? So, but we do have, because everyone wants to be happy, right? Why is that? Because that's a characteristic of soul. Soul always wants to be, soul is actually Satchidanand, it's eternal, full of knowledge and full of happiness. So that's why we always, everyone wants to have a happiness, happy life, wants to live eternally. Nobody wants to die, right? Because these are the characteristics of the soul. So we discussed all that, and then we discussed about super soul also of the Bhagwan, that who is Bhagwan, how come the creation starts, we discussed, and how he expands into so many incarnations. We discussed all about that. And we discussed what is the position of Bhagwan, what is the position of demigods or Devi Devtas in relation to the Bhagwan. And we also discussed who is Bhagwan. That is the $1 million question. Because in our Hinduism, where there are so many Devi Devtas, so many personalities, sometimes it's not very clear that who is the ultimate, who is the supreme, right? So we discuss all that. And then we discuss what is the relationship of soul with super soul, right? It says Jivera Swarup Hoye Nitya Krishna Das. This is the simple definition which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave about the relationship. That Jivera Swarup Hoye, that the constitutional position of Jeev is that he is the eternal servant of the Lord Krishna. Jivera Swarup Hoye Nitya Krishna Das. Very clearly say Nitya Krishna Das. So word Krishna Das means he is the eternal servant of Krishna. Now, unfortunately, not many people know about this, and then they just waste this precious human form of life in just doing the same thing which even animals do, right? Prabhupada used to say animals also do mating, defending, eating, sleeping. And those who are not practicing, they are also doing same thing, maybe in a more sophisticated way. Like animals used to sleep on the ground in open, and humans sleep in the sophisticated apartments or big bungalows. But ultimately, the satisfaction which they are getting from sleeping is same as animals. Like animals also sleep, and in the morning when they get up, they also get energy back, or they get refreshed. Same is the case with us. We also sleep. In the morning, we wake up, so we are energized. So the function is same at the bodily level, and animals feel same pleasure or same satisfaction which we get by eating or doing other things. So only aspect which differentiates humans from animals is if they can practice this spirituality, and that's why humans have been given this intelligence by the Lord to understand this process and engage in this process. If someone is not doing that, that means he's at the animal platform. No, not much difference. So that is all we discussed. So let's discuss now the third aspect. So initially I told there are 5 things or 5 key things which Bhagavad Gita talks. It's the Jiva, which is soul, Paramatma or super soul, Ishwar, then Kal, time, Prakriti, nature, and 5th is karma or the action. So now we'll discuss the third aspect or third theme of Bhagavad Gita called karma. Everything you see in this material world or anywhere, these 5 things will come into always into play. Everything is these 5 things: nature, time, action, which is Kal, soul, and super soul. Even if you go to any situation, these 5 things comes into play. Okay, and this is someone who knows about these 5 things and how they interact. He's considered the most knowledgeable person. And it's very you can say it's easy also to understand this, but at the same time it's difficult also if we don't understand in a right way. So chapter 3, if we see the overview, Arjun will ask which is better, renunciation or work, because like many of people, he also thought that renunciation means to renounce and go to the secluded place in jungle and just meditate. So he asked Krishna in the first verse itself that is it better to be situated in knowledge or to work, because he was thinking that two were opposed to each other, while these two are not opposed, because once we have knowledge, then we know how to apply that knowledge in our work. Okay, so that sets the ground for Krishna to speak about karma yoga or karma. And then Krishna talks about Nishkam Karma Yoga in 3.3 to 3.9. Okay, then he talks further from 3.10 to 16. He goes all the way from Karma Kand to Karma Yoga. We'll discuss all these technical terms. What is Karma Kand? What is Nishkam Karma? What is Karma Yoga? There is Sakam Karma Yoga also. These are all technical terms, which if you know, then it makes it very clear what is karma, what is karma yoga. And then if you encounter anyone who questions you, then you at least know how to answer. So one of the aspects why we do and read Bhagavad Gita is first to convince ourselves and then teach to our children. And then if we get an opportunity, then we can preach or give this message to the pious people, like-minded people. Okay. It is not to be, this knowledge is not to be spoken or given to people who are basically envious of the Lord. We should never try to convince someone who is envious of the Lord. You know why? Because this is Lord himself says that please do not do that. Like it's considered one of the offenses also. And by doing that, if that person is envious, then he will do more harm to himself, because he will say something bad about the Lord or some devotees that will create some unnecessary sins for him. So we should always give this knowledge to innocent people who don't know or who are favorable. So, but not to the envious people or those who don't want. Let Lord does his work. So that's why when we preach, we don't force someone, or we don't want to say, okay, you have to come or you have to do this. No, this bhakti is not done by force. So we'll discuss about today the yoga ladder also, that how as I was saying, there is animal life, and then above animal life there is karma kand, like that there is a yoga ladder. So there are so many different aspects in Bhagavad Gita. There is Karma Yoga, there is Jnana Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. So there's a yoga ladder because Lord Krishna talks about all the methods through which one can approach him. But then at the end, he says Bhakti is the best or is the easiest also. So we'll talk about yoga ladder in a minute. But here, if you want to read yourself, so this is the basically the themes of these verses, that 3:10 to 16, Lord Krishna will talk about Karma Kand to Karma Yoga. And then 3:17 to 3:35, almost 34 verses, or no, 17 verses, he elaborates on Nishkam Karma Yoga to set the correct example. And towards the end, he talks about the enemies of there are enemies within us which basically hinders our progress, which is basically lust and anger are the two big enemies. And he talks about lust and anger almost in 7 to 8 verses. He talks about lust, calm, and growth. These are the two enemies who basically takes us to the sinful path. Okay, so this is basically the overall overview of this chapter 3. Okay, so let's talk next about these terms. So I was talking about the yoga ladder, so let me take you there. Okay, so this is the yoga ladder. We'll see express elevator versus yoga ladder. So if you have seen, like in sometimes when we go to some buildings which are multi-level buildings like 40 floor, 50 floor, there is express elevator which directly takes you faster. And then there is another elevator which stops at every floor. But let's say in a very high-rise building, sometimes there is an elevator which directly takes you to the 40th floor directly. And then it goes from 40th to 60 and 61. But there is one which is normal. So this Bhakti is the express elevator, Bhakti Yoga. It's different. What we are practicing, it directly takes one to the topmost platform, right? While there is a progressive yoga ladder and extended yoga ladder, this takes more time. For example, if we have to go from Toronto to Montreal, there is a direct, we know, express highway 401. You go faster. But at the same time, if someone needs to go, he can go to the internal roads. Maybe it takes him double the time, but he will reach there, right? Or he may go, if he gets, he doesn't know how to go, he may roam around and then maybe go multiple roads, sometimes go in wrong path. But ultimately, if his motive is to reach Montreal, somehow or the other, he will one day reach, right? Same is the case. So many people are following different paths, right, to achieve the Lord. Many people don't even know who Lord is. For example, there are many sects who follow the impersonalist path. Impersonalist means they don't consider the Supreme Lord as person. So they follow the impersonalist path where they try to merge with the Supreme. Have you heard this path, Deepti or Madhavji? There are different sects. Actually, those are more prevalent in this age, where they want to merge with the Lord. They say like they do meditation to merge with the Lord. And then, have you heard of this or no?
Yes, Prabhu, we have.
Yeah. You have? Okay. So yeah, so in a way they are following, they are also spiritual, but they are, I would say, not have the complete understanding of different aspects, because Lord has both aspects. The impersonalist aspect also is there of the Lord, but that is, I would call, more of an energy. And then he has a personal aspect. He's a person, as we discussed, that Lord Krishna is a personality. He's a person. He's a living person, eternal person like us. It's just that those people who are following impersonalist path, they denied his personal aspect, and that's why their knowledge is incomplete. While the bhakti or the bhaktas or the devotees know the entire thing, because they understand that he has the impersonal aspect and he has a personal aspect, and personal aspect is superior than impersonal. So they directly go to the personal and directly render service to the Lord and try to establish relationship with the Lord. Okay, so bhakti is that. So let's see this yoga ladder. So at the bottom, it's the animal life. If anyone is not practicing any kind of sacrifice or religiosity, is at the animal life or animal level, right? As I was saying, animals also do 4 things: eating, mating, sleeping, defending. These are inherent. Lord has given these 4 qualities, or I would say 4 things, to every entity. Every entity has this defending. Like, even if you see the small insect, if you try to chase, he will run away. Why? Because he also has that fear of losing his life. Everyone has that fear. That's inherent. All living entities have that fear. So then he will try to defend. If he can't defend, he runs away, right? So that is the aspect of defending. Mating, everyone is having that inherent. Animals also mate, create progeny. Humans also do. So like that, mating also there. Eating, everyone is eating. We eat, some humans eat 3 times a day, 2 times a day, but for us, and then birds and animals, they keep on looking for food throughout the day, but they also eat, and then they feed their children also. Every living entity has affection to their children. It's inherent. And sleeping. So everyone sleeps, right? Because our material body is constituted in a way where after certain number of hours of working, we need rest to recover. So sleeping also is common between animals and humans. So what is, as I was saying, human form of life is most precious, right? Because this is rare of the rarest things. We take it for granted because we see all humans around us. But if we really look at the creation, then we'll understand that how precious is human life. The other day I was hearing about some Vrindavan Vasi, like when Prabhuji came from Vrindavan Vasi, he was giving very nice example of just to understand how precious human life is. He was telling that if we count the number of humans who are there on the Earth planet itself today, like some population, our population of humans is some 6 billion or 6.5 billion, right? Now he was saying that if you dig a hole, big hole in the earth, just dig a hole 6 feet deep and 6 feet by 6 feet long, the amount of living entities which you will find in that hole, the small insects, the bacteria, and that so many living entities are living, that will be more than 6 billion, right? It may unlimited. There are so many living entities there, and this is just earth. Now if you go to any ocean, there is so much species in the ocean, so much fishes, so far scientists also not able to find all the species, but our Shastras tells that there are 8.4 million species of life, and the ones who live under the sea or the ocean in water is 9 million species. 3 million are the 4-legged animals. Then there is 2 million plants, and 4 million are 3 million is 4-legged, and I think 1 or 2 million is 2-legged animals, and then some birds and plant altogether, it becomes 8.4 million. Out of that 8.4 million, only 400,000 is human species, like 400,000. Because in humans also we had different species, right? Some are, we see even here, some are white, some are black, brown, some are tribal, some are this. So there are different species. And that 8.4 million, when it says, sometimes people try to think, is it true? It talks about entire material creation. While we only know just about our Earth, we don't even know the species which are there on other planets, like Jupiter, Mars. We don't even know all the planets. There are so many planets which we can't count. So our Shastras gives us the whole knowledge, because without even experimenting, we get to know how much is there. So I was talking about animal life. So anyone who is not practicing any of the spiritual processes is same as animal, no difference. But human form is given for a higher purpose, to understand this subject matter about spirituality, what Lord wants us to do and what is the purpose of human life. That's why this Bhagavad Gita is called the manual of life, because by reading that we get to know how to lead our life. Okay. So let's first discuss the express elevator Bhakti Yoga and then we'll discuss other things. But just give me a minute. So in Bhakti Yoga, those who are very, very fortunate, I would say human life itself is very precious. Even more rare than that, getting even in human life is getting the association of devotees and the favor of the Lord. So if one is very, very fortunate that he gets the favor of Bhakti Devi, and he is able to get in association of devotees, that's the first step. And then he has little Shraddha. Shraddha means faith. If he has all these three things, then he comes in contact with the devotees and immediately he is on the express elevator of Bhakti Yoga. Right? He does not need to follow this path of Karma Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, all this path. He's directly on the path of express elevator Bhakti Yoga, which directly takes him back to the Golok, to the spiritual world, express elevator going. So he comes in contact. Now devotees will engage that person in the sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti is the bhakti which we are doing, right? Regulated sadhana. Sadhana bhakti has two further aspects. When we discuss more about bhakti, we'll discuss. Like there is bhakti which is done using regulated means, and then there is when one reaches a state, it becomes automatic, as I was saying, raga nuga bhakti. But key thing is, when it comes in contact with devotees, he practices sadhana bhakti, and then by practicing, he reaches a stage which is bhav bhakti. Bhav bhakti is the, you can say, the onset of prem. Like at the stage of bhav bhakti, person is very much attached to the Lord, that for him engaging or experiencing that love of the Lord and the feeling of separation, it overtakes all other things. Like he's completely immersed in thoughts of the Lord 24 hours a day. So once he reaches this bhakt, then finally is the prem bhakti. At the stage of prem, one cannot live without thinking about the Lord, and he's completely you can say attached. And then at this stage of prem bhakti, even bhav bhakti, one becomes eligible to go back to the spiritual world. So this is the express elevator of bhakti, where you just directly go, even you are not practicing anything, so you are at the animal life, but by somehow the other, or by your agyat sukriti, or by the favor of Vaishnavas, you come in contact with Vaishnavas and they engage you in the process of bhakti, and then you go from sadhana bhakti to bhav bhakti to prem bhakti, and ultimately you become eligible to go back to the spiritual world, so that you don't need to suffer in this material world life after life, right? So this is the express elevator where all the Vaishnavas are practicing. And it's not just ISKCON. ISKCON is one of the Vaishnavas organizations, but there are many more Vaishnavas. Like if you go to Vrindavan, Mathura, you will see so many Vaishnavas, right? So all of them are following this path of bhakti. Whoever is a devotee or practicing this bhakti of Lord Krishna, Radharani, any of their incarnations like Lord Ram, they are all in this bhakti path. Okay. So next, understand the other yoga ladders. So this is the progressive yoga ladder, which goes step by step. So there is animal life. Then there is something called karma kand. Karma means first action, right? And when we do any action with the expectation of getting a fruit in return or something in return, that's called karma kand. Like some ritualistic action. For example, I'll give you, so many devotees or so many people go to the temple just for the sake to say, okay, Pandit ji, can you do something? I am facing this challenge in my life, that challenge. And then Pandit ji will say, okay, you do this havan, or you wear this ring, or you wear something, and that will counteract of your challenges. So that means this person is doing something spiritual or something ritualistic or something toward which is, you can say, religious, but his motive is to get rid of his material problems. That is karma kand. Okay. So in Vedas, there are so many ritualistic activities which are prescribed for different things. Like if you have bad health, you do this. If you want a good wife, you do this. If you want a good husband, you do this. If you want to basically go to the heavenly planets, there is another ritual, another yajna, and so many things are there. But the main motive behind all this is to something materialistic. You want something in return. That's karma kand. Okay. So this is better than doing nothing. If someone is not even doing anything, at least he's one step higher. Like karma kand is one step higher than leading an animal life or an atheistic life where you are just no better than animal. So this is in a way one step better, karma kand. Okay. So let me read out the definitions also so that you understand what we discussed. So karma kand is performing activities for fruitive gains. So how he helps, as I was saying, at least the person who is practicing karma kand is better than the one who is atheist or not practicing anything, because it encourages regulative sense gratification. Okay. So this person definitely wants to do sense gratification, meaning he wants to gratify his senses by that, but it regulates that. It doesn't unregulate, because when you practice or when you engage in this, then Panditji will say, okay, on this day, you should not take this much, this thing, or on this day, you should get up early in the morning and do this, right? Sometimes they say you had a bad Shani or heavy Rahu or this, that. So you have to on that day do things like for Shani Dev, they say, okay, on the day of Saturday, you give oil or something in the name of Shani Dev. So like that, this is all karma kand, but at least their activities become little regulated. Okay. Then another purpose, it is meant to bring general mass of people to the platform of religiosity. As I was saying, this karma kand is meant to bring the people who are general mass. Right now, I'm not talking about those fortunate ones who are practicing bhakti. This is in general people. At least they will be able to practice something. They get connected with Lord and be able to practice something at least. So it brings to their platform of religiosity. Because if you are not following this, then you are at the animal platform. So that's the second benefit or purpose. Then it purifies the practitioner in many ways. How? Because regulations bring detachment, which fosters knowledge. So by doing some regulation, at least it brings some detachment, and ultimately which creates some knowledge. Gradually, Vedas expose him to Gyan Upasana section. Results of Yagna gives him faith in Shastras, motivates him to associate with Brahmanas who give higher knowledge, and gradually the practitioner finds the futility of material life and makes transcendence as his goal. Okay, so these are the certain points that the practitioner who only practice karma kand, ultimately he will find that no matter whatever he does, this material life will definitely give him troubles. He cannot escape from this troubles and miseries of material life, and then he tries to look for the ways to escape, and then he by again mercy of the Vaishnava, he may come in contact with devotees and then understand that practicing bhakti is the ultimate goal. Okay, so this is first karma kand. Okay, so at this level there is no yoga involved. Now let's understand the term yoga also, because now we'll understand the next term, which is karma yoga. So here we don't call it as karma yoga, we call karma kand. So what is the difference between karma kand and karma yoga? So we all understand that karma is, yeah, Rittiji mentioned this is how we were taught in India, karma kand level. Yes, that's true. That is how we were taught in India. Yes, that you go to temple, and then even today people follow, like some problem comes, they go to immediately temple to look for Pandit, and then he will give you some remedy. But because I have been now practicing and hearing so much from different saints, I can tell none of that can change your karmas. Like, we have to enjoy the results of pious karmas, and we have to suffer the results of bad karmas which have happened. We'll discuss that aspect also. But these things will not, there are certain ritualistics which may help to gain, like say someone wants to do, but more or less it's very difficult to change the course of the karma. You can't escape. So I was talking karma kand and karma yoga. Karma yoga, when the term yoga comes, yoga means to attach. Attach to whom? Attach to the Supreme Lord. So the karma which is done to attach to Lord Krishna is called karma yoga. Any activity which we do to attach to the Lord is karma yoga. Now yoga today, even I think last week or 2-3 days before, we celebrated the International Yoga Day. But today the concept of yoga is very limited, or the knowledge is not there. Like, people think about yoga being just those physical asanas and activities which one does, right? But that's not the only way. Like, this is just a small aspect of yoga. Ultimate aspect of yoga is to connect one with the Lord. Now that particular aspect which people identifies that doing those asanas is just one aspect of Ashtanga yoga. In this letter, we'll discuss here Ashtanga yoga, asana, where we do asana. Ashtanga yoga is 8 steps like yam, niyam, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, samadhi. So this is the process of Ashtanga yoga. So there is third one, yam, niyam, asana. So that is what asana is. People identify now today yoga, then they only practice asana. But that's not the goal. Keeping oneself fit is good for health, but the ultimate goal of yoga is to connect one with the Lord. Okay. So karma yoga in that aspect means doing those actions which can connect with the Lord. Karma yoga. So karma kand, there is no yoga involved here, because the only motive or the intention in the karma kand is what is there for me. Like, how can I get relieved of my miseries, or how can I become more materialistically rich, or like, it's only done for the purpose of getting myself, like me, right? That is the karma kanda mentality. It's not a good mentality, but at least it's better than doing nothing for animals. So those who are at animal life, at least if they are not doing anything, maybe they are okay, like doing karma kanda with the intention that someday they will come to the topmost ladder of bhakti yoga. But they are on a progressive ladder, and it will take some lifetimes after lifetimes to come to that level. Okay. So that is karma kand. So now you will know, if anyone does those activities, what is there, karma kand. So our Vedas also mentions about karma kand. So it's not that this is something not approved by Vedas. It is approved by Vedas, but it is for the general mass of people who are not practicing anything. At least by doing karma kand, they come to the platform of religiosity, do something, right? So that is the purpose of karma kand. Next is Sakam Karma Yoga. So Karma Yoga is having 2 aspects, Sakam Karma Yoga and Nishkam Karma Yoga. Nishkam Karma Yoga. Okay. So 2 aspects are there, Sakam Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga. So those who understand Hindi, Sa means Sa, and Nishkam will discuss. But Sakam means that he understands that transcendental knowledge is a goal, but again his desire is for himself. So he's frustrated in material life, or he desires some purification, and he attempts to renounce the fruits of the labor, but he's not able to renounce, but he's just attempting, but he is attached to the material desires, right? So Sakam means he has certain motives, again some materialistic desires, but he understands that he understands about the Lord, and then the transcendental knowledge is the goal, but he's not there yet. He's not able to practice that, right? So he's understands, but he's not practicing, not able. So he wants again, Sakam means there are material desires which are still lingering on, and his motives of doing his actions is to fulfill those material desires, Sakam Karma Yoga. But at the same time, he's one step higher than Karmakand because he, at least in Sakam Karma Yoga, he attempts to renounce the fruits of labor, right? So that is a little bit ahead of Karmakand because at least he knows that it's not good that I want to enjoy the fruits of my labor. So he attempts to renounce, but not able to renounce yet. So he's at the Sakam Karma Yogi, right? For example, people go to the temple and they give the donation in the hope that he will get a good job. Like some let's say someone is not having a good job or unemployed, so he goes and then he prays, okay, he, please Lord, get me a good job. I will donate this thing, or let me donate this money, or let me donate this, so I'll get a good job, right? So, or like that, there are multiple instances. So here again, the motive is for someone to get something in return. So Prabhupada, this was very like straightforward. He says this is again not for devotees. This is kind of a business. You are approaching the Lord and asking for something, but again you are doing your actions for some purpose. This is a business basically. So again, for Lord, it's not difficult to fulfill those things. He will give you whatever you ask, but at the same time you will not get the love, right? So, and then thing is, for devotees, they don't need to ask Lord gives him whatever we need automatically. As small child, 2-year-old, 1-year-old, never ask his parents to feed him or anything, right? He gets automatically nourished by the parents. Similarly, devotees understand Lord is our supreme eternal Father. He fulfills the desire, whatever we need. So, but the Sakam Karma Yogi not there yet. So he attempts to renounce, but he's still attached to the fruits. And that, so with that intention, he performs his actions. Okay. So this is the third step. Wait, where I am. Sakam Karma Yoga. Next comes the Nishkam Karma Yoga. Nishkam meaning that now there is no attachment to the fruits. Okay, so this is higher than Sakam. So he gives up the attachment to the fruits of work. So he does everything without any motive, like for personal gains, right? So he gives up the attachment to the fruits of the work. He just works selflessly, right? But still not there, like, but because he's still attached to the work itself. So that is the aspect of Nishkam Karma, but he's better than Sakam because he is now gives up the attachment to the fruits of the work. So he does not want to enjoy the fruits of the work, like fruits of his actions. He does not want to get rewarded for that or not want anything, but still he's attached to the work itself. He has attachment to the work. I want to do like this, the way I desire. So he's still attached to the work itself. So that is Nishkam Karma Yoga. Okay. In this chapter, Krishna talks till here only. Like he talks about Nishkam Karma, Karmakand, and then Sakam. And then Nishkam Karma, he gives furthermore example. So Krishna in this chapter only talks till here. The Bhakti Yoga and all other things comes later. But since we are discussing the yoga ladder, I'll tell you now itself other things. Okay. Nishkam Karma Yoga. Sometimes this Nishkam Karma Yoga also practice, if they are fortunate, if they practice sadhana bhakti, then because at this level at least they are able to give up the attachment to the fruit of work. So they are that much pious that they don't want anything for themselves. But only thing remaining is that they are still attached to the work itself. Now, the moment they give that attachment to the work and work for the pleasure of the Lord, then it becomes sadhana bhakti. Very minute, subtle difference between Nishkam Karma Yoga and sadhana bhakti. The moment they start working for the pleasure of the Lord and engages in the worship of the Lord, in the service of the Lord, it becomes sadhana bhakti. So that's why sadhana bhakti is also at the same level. Like sometimes it's easier for Nishkam Karma Yogi to practice sadhana bhakti. Okay. And once he starts practicing sadhana bhakti, then he's on the same elevator, express. He joins that express elevator. So he comes here and then he goes to Bhav Bhakti and Prem Bhakti stage eventually, right? So you see how the progressive yoga ladder also culminates in the bhakti only. No matter which path you follow, ultimately you come to the bhakti yoga path, right? You may start with karma kand, maybe few lifetimes you are on karma kand level only, and then you may get the understanding, no, I have to progress, and within your itself maybe Lord will guide you, so you go sakam karma yoga, nishkam karma yoga, and then sadhana bhakti, bhav bhakti, prem bhakti. But it may take you few lifetimes or maybe more, 100 lifetimes, or don't know how many, to progress from this progressive yoga ladder. While in the express elevator of bhakti yoga, you directly start with sadhana bhakti directly, right? You don't need to practice karma kand, sakam karma yoga, manishkam karma yoga, no. Because all your actions by the association of devotees are already engaged in the service of the Lord, right? So you start sadhana bhakti and then you are ahead of any of other yoga stuff. Now, other yoga ladder is, I think, more or less same, extended yoga ladder. Only difference is that here in the extended yoga ladder, there are more steps. Like sometimes devotees who want to, like, you will find certain people who doesn't take to the bhakti easily. They have this habit of questioning, right? Okay. Or speculating, it's called speculating, or they want to gain knowledge, lot of knowledge, gyan. Like they will not, like if I tell you, if I tell something to that kind of person, he say, what is the source from where you get? So they want to acquire a lot of knowledge, right? They want to experiment. They will not take the words of Shastra as it is. They want to experiment, Gyan. So those are called Gyan Yogis. We'll discuss in a minute. So Gyan Yogis are at the platform of philosophical inquiry. Okay. Even though they are detached from both, but they are detached from both action and fruit of action, but they are at the philosophical inquiry. So in the extended yoga ladder, it takes a little bit longer for one to reach to the state of bhakti yoga, because these Gyan yogis will try to acquire knowledge and they will try to understand everything from their speculative mindset. But problem with Gyan yoga is that we cannot understand the spiritual knowledge with our material senses. These are two different realms. Our senses are material, and with these material senses, if we try to understand something spiritual, it doesn't work. Spirituality is at totally different level. So Gyan Yogi sometimes gets frustrated, like they are not able to comprehend. For example, if I tell a Gyan Yogi about that creation thing, that a lotus stem erupts from the navel of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and all the planetary systems are in that lotus stem, and from the top of lotus, Brahmaji comes. Now he will not believe. He say, how come a lotus stem is so big that it can have the entire creation within that lotus stem? He will question that. And he will try to understand that thing from his limited knowledge which he has, right? And with that limited knowledge, he will not able to comprehend, right? Because he's lacking that faith in the scriptures, and he wants to understand everything from his Gyan Chakshu or knowledge. He'll not able to understand, then he will not make progress. While a bhakti yogi he'll say, yeah, it's possible. It's possible because it's written in scriptures, and Lord, he has full faith in the Lord. He say Lord can do anything. It's possible, right? So that's the difference between bhakti yogi and Gyan yogi. And that's why Gyan yogi, it takes him longer, because he's not convinced about about the Lord because he wants to understand and gains a lot of knowledge, and he's at the speculative level. Okay, so that's the Gyan Yoga. You will find a lot of Gyan yogis as well. So if they are able to, their destination will not be Vaikuntha or Golok Vrindavan, because they are not able to establish the relationship with the Lord. At most, they can go to the Brahma Jyoti. If they are able to go, Brahma Jyoti is the Brahman effulgence. Okay, so all the Gyanis will go Brahma Jyoti. And after Gyan Yogi, this extended yoga ladder, because in this ladder, it takes longer to reach Bhakti Yoga stage, because if they keep on going, Nishkam, Gyan, and Ashtang Yoga. So Ashtang Yoga is the 8 process. Ashtang means 8. It's sometimes also called Dhyan Yoga. You will see many people who believes in meditation, Dhyan, right? They will meditate, right? So that is the Ashtang Yoga process. As I was saying, there are 8 stages in Ashtang Yoga. Yam, Niyam, Asan, Dharana, Dhyan. Dhyan is basically meditation. And then once they reach in higher stages of Dhyan, that's called Samadhi meditation. When you may have heard, okay, this yogi is in the Samadhi for that many years. So that means they are in the Samadhi. So they try to meditate, but they are not Ashtanga Yoga again. The object of Ashtanga Yoga is to meditate on the Lord or its form. But if someone is meditating on some abstract object, then I don't know what is that. It doesn't. Today, even people try to meditate on some light or some this, that. Nothing will be achieved by doing that. If one has to meditate, he has to meditate on the form of the Lord or the lotus feet of the Lord. And this age of Kali Yuga, when there are so many challenges, so many problems, it's impractical to practice Ashtanga Yoga. Anyone who is following the path of meditation is simply wasting time, because nothing much can be achieved. Because leave aside, earlier in Satyuga, people used to meditate and practice this for thousands and thousands of years, because their lifespan was bigger. Like in Satyuga, which is the first yuga, 100,000 years, that's how people used to live. And they used to meditate for, let's say, 25,000 years, quarter of their life, or 30,000 years. Now doing meditation today, people meditate for 30 minutes, 20 minutes. How will it help? It may bring some calmness and something, some feel-good factor, but ultimately that's all. Like, you will not be able to revive that love to the Lord, because there is no love here in meditation. You are just simply meditating, and I don't know, sometimes people meditate on some void or some light or something. So that is all useless. Even some meditation path, Ashtanga Yoga means to meditate on the Lord or the form of the Lord, but that knowledge is not there yet. People meditate on anything and everything. So this again, Gyan Yoga culminates in Ashtanga Yoga, and ultimately it further goes to Bhakti Yoga, because through Bhakti Yoga only you will able to establish the relationship with the Lord. Like in Bhakti Yoga, there is a concept of serving the Lord in some mood, right? Bhav. How will you come to Bhav stage? It's only through Bhakti Yoga. All other yoga methods do not have this concept, this aspect of Bhav, right? Like a parent has a natural relationship or loving sentiments towards his child. Now in any of these yoga, Yan, Ashtanga, there is no that such thing, right? Only in Bhakti Yoga, there is this concept of serving the Lord, and Lord has kindly agreed to come in the Archa Vigraha format. Like the deities which we are worshipping is same as the Lord, no difference, because we still do not have that qualification to directly serve the Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna is so merciful that he agreed to come in the form of Archa Vigraha, in the deity, so that we can render service to the Archa Vigraha. It's not a small thing to practice deity worship, or someone who is worshipping the deity. It's same as practicing like conversing or working or having a face-to-face with the Lord. Like yesterday, whoever took the darshan of Jagannath means the master of the universe. He's same as Krishna. Krishna in the form of Jagannath, same. Krishna and Jagannath, no difference. It's same as directly having a darshan of the Lord Krishna. There's no difference. As long as that deity is done with the proper vidhi of pran pratishtha, like there is a proper process. So that bhakti yoga only has that concept aspect, right? Where we had sadhana bhakti, and through sadhana bhakti we are able to revive our dormant love for the Lord, and we reach to the stage of bhav, which is the onset of prem, where we get that feeling of attachment and we feel the separation. And then we finally reach to the state of prem bhakti, where person cannot live even for a minute without thinking about the Lord. And he feels a lot of pain and separation. So this is the stage of prema. And that is the same feeling which gopis, which is the topmost devotees of the Lord in Vrindavan, used to have for the Lord. Feeling of separation, viraha bhav. They were showing that viraha bhav. So when Krishna at the age of 12 left Vrindavan and went to Mathura and then eventually to Dwarka, so all the gopis were exhibiting this prema. So one of the reasons why Lord Krishna left is to increase their loving relation, because in viraha is higher than when person is there. When person is not there, you feel separation, but at the same time you feel more happiness because you keep remembering that person again and again. And that's the stage of prem bhakti. And then finally, at the stage of prem bhakti, one becomes eligible to see the Lord face to face in spiritual world. When he goes to the spiritual world and he gets the spiritual body, and he's able to serve the Lord in one of the relationships. Face to face, he will be serving. And by this stage, one will be able to know what is his real identity in the spiritual world. So there are 4 or 5 primary relationships. Dasya bhav, one serving in the servant form. Then friendship, sakhya bhav, one serves the Lord as a friend. Then vatsalya bhav, one serves the Lord in parental love. Okay, and then madhurya is the topmost, which is serving as a conjugal lover. So these are 5 relationships, but this is only possible in bhakti yoga, right? So, and in all other yoga, you will never hear any Ashtanga yogi saying that I want to serve the Lord as a das or as a friend. Or they are just meditating, and that's all. Same is the case with Nityan yogi. Like he will just acquire knowledge and get and try to understand the Lord through his limited knowledge or limited brain, which is given to him by the Lord. So that is the Gyan Yoga. And then Ashtanga Yoga we already discussed, achieved when Gyan Yoga elevates to the point of meditation. Bhakti Yoga is, so Bhakti Yoga, the thing is, it permeates any of the stages mentioned above. So it goes beyond all this direct elevator, and you are directly on the express elevator back to the Golok Vrindavan. Like you come directly start practicing Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti. While in this ladder, you come all the way Ashtanga Yoga practice. I don't know how many lifetimes you keep practicing, and then you will come to this understanding that, oh, I have to start Sadhana Bhakti and then go from here further to reach to the prema. Okay. Is it clear? I spoke a lot. Now I just want to hear. Is it clear for so far what we're discussing?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
And is it new for you? Are you hearing for first time, or you know about this before, Madhavji?
Prabhu, this Karma Yoga, the concepts what you explained in this class are new to me. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Dipti ji? Okay, so you had one question, Dipti. Dipti ji. In express elevator, we as humans cannot change. We inadvertently ask for desire few things. Is that still Bhakti Yoga? Can you just elaborate on this? Dipti ji, are you still around? Or maybe you are on mute or something. Okay, let's go ahead. So it's 12:20. Oh, by explaining, I think I lost track of the time. We are almost there, the time. So this Karma Yoga, now we understand, like the Karma Yoga itself has a couple of chapters, like then there will be Dhyan Yoga. But devotees are not too much interested in doing Karma Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, Gyan Yoga, because they directly are on the express elevator and they directly practice Bhakti Yoga. But it's good to know all this so that you know what we are doing and you know all other methods also for approaching the Lord. And you know, if anyone else is following other paths, then what they are following. And then if they try to convince you to follow their path, then you know which path you are following, and you basically know what you're doing and then make a educated decision, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. So that's why this thing is important. But there are further things how it discusses the stage of Bhakti Yoga in this chapter itself, 330. There is a verse which we'll discuss in the next class. But at least in today's class, we are able to understand the concept of Karma Yoga, Karma Kand, and the different yoga ladder like Sakam Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga. These falls under the Karma Yoga. Sakam meaning there is a motive to enjoy the fruits of your karma. You want to enjoy, you will get asking something in return. Nishkam, you don't want to enjoy your fruits, but you're still attached to the work. Like you only want to do certain actions like this. I just want to do this because I am attached to the work. But you have given up the mentality of enjoying the fruit, but you are attached to the work. And then the further sadhana bhakti comes. Okay. And in bhakti also sometimes people have these desires, material desires, but the thing is those it's normal for people to, even in practicing bhakti yoga in the earlier stages, to have certain desires, right? It's normal, but with the power of bhakti yoga, those desires quickly go away. So to start with, yes, it's okay to have the desires, material desires, but it will quickly go away once you start tasting the nectar of bhakti yoga. I think that was the question which Dipti ji was asking. I think her connection dropped. He just left. But it's okay to have any desires, material desires in the beginning, because to become desireless is not possible. Those soul will definitely have desires, like we definitely have desires. The process of bhakti yoga will spiritualize those desires, and then it will spiritualize in a way that earlier we may have only material desires, that I want good job, high paying job, good house, big house, car, big car, all facilities. It's okay. But slowly, what Bhakti Yoga will do is that the devotee will try to engage, or will come to the understanding that whatever is given to him is by the mercy of the Lord, and he will engage all his possessions in the service of the Lord, right? So it's not a problem if you have a big house. Use it in the service of the Lord. How? By inviting the devotees to your home, by doing home programs. So that way your home will become a temple, right? And it's no more a home which is made of bricks and this thing and all facilities. So you are basically changing your consciousness that yes, I have a big house, no problem, but I am using that house in the service of the Lord by having satsang program, by inviting devotees. And if you are good enough, then you can have a small altar and then do some daily offering to the Lord. Same. If you have a big car, no problem. You can have a desire, I want this, that, as long as you don't. Only thing is here that one has to realize that one should not go overboard with it. Like one should not, what I would say, over endeavor. That's the correct term, over endeavor. There is a term called endeavor. Endeavor is good, but over endeavor is not good. Because then one cannot sleep also, because he will thinking about how can I get this much, this thing. He will keep on working like a donkey day and night to meet his demands, his desires. That's not good for bhakti. That's not good for an individual also, because he may work very hard, but ultimately he will only get what he deserves. That is the thing which people don't understand. Materialistically, all of us has certain quota of what we can enjoy materially and suffer. Nobody can enjoy an iota more than what he's already given. That's called destiny. We'll discuss more next class. This is called destiny. Sometimes people say it's not in my destiny, right? So this is defined like when one takes birth, his destiny is fixed materialistically, like more or less is fixed. You can't change much about that. That's why when I see someone working so hard day and night, sometimes people work 2 shifts, 16 hours, for what? Because you work so hard till the age of 45 to acquire material gains, and then rest of the life you spend that money in getting back your health. You will have so many diseases, so many problems that you will think, people think in under illusion that they will enjoy after the age of 45, 50 when they have a lot of wealth. But by that time you will lose your health, which is more important than wealth. And no matter how much wealth you have, you cannot regain your health, which has already been lost. Right? So we have to take care of our health and lead a regulated life. You agree, Madhavji?
Totally, yeah, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
very, very wise words from you today.
Yes. So this is what I have learned from hearing from the pure devotees and practicing in my life and telling others. There is no point and this karma yoga thing is very important for one to understand, because then one can decide how I want to lead my life, what action should I do in my life. And when one comes to that realization and understanding, then one does not, you don't have to worry about it. Like people worry so much about their children. Oh, what will happen to my children? Well, it's all taken care by the Lord. We don't have to worry too much. We just do our duty as a parents to make them give them good education, give them all facilities which we can, but we don't have to over endeavor and go overboard with it. Right? They come up with their own destiny and they will eventually get where they have to go. But if we can make our children nice human beings, nice devotees, then they will be able to decide by themselves when they grow old what is right, what is wrong. So primary duty of parent is to first provide all facilities, agreed, but also at the same time give them good sanskaras and give them this knowledge so that they can decide by themselves when they grow old what is good and what is wrong. Problem with today is that somehow or the other, I think the focus is too much on material things and this aspect is missing when it comes to children, particularly in Western world. Even in India also now things are changing because they are trying to imitate Western world. So things are changing drastically. Unfortunately, that's why there is a lot of emphasis on education, spiritual education, because what has happened in India is because of the British rule for 200, 300 years, our whole education system has got corrupted. Like this spiritual education, which should be an important aspect of our education system, is completely taken out.
That's true, Prabhu. Yeah.
Right. So now the children are only studying with the aim of getting the good job
and make more money.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the motive. And I should be honest, like before I don't know about all this, that was how I was also working, like in the student. We all came from India, right? We know how
as you rightly pointed out, Prabhuji, I mean the whole world, irrespective of whether it's in India or the West, I mean everybody's success or happiness is measured in terms of how much money he is making, right? That is what has become I mean, no one is not looking how much you spiritually grown as
Yeah,
as a success and happiness.
exactly.
So I think that material desire, is increasing day by day.
Movement. Yes, yes, and there is no limit to that.
Exactly.
It's like a fuel. Krishna talks about that in this chapter itself. There is no end to that material desire because it's like a fuel. The more you add
I
fuel
know
to the
there is
fire,
no end for that. Yeah.
there is no end. So that's why sometimes I'm wondering, like these billionaires, they have so much that they can't even spend in their lifetime. Even their children will not be able to spend, but still they are working so hard and so much.
Yeah.
They make so much. They do so much corruption, or I would say uh, they earn money by illegal means or doing this
Yeah.
that. For what?
Yeah.
Right? They should ask themselves, why what I'm doing, like why,
Yes,
what do we
Prabhu.
do with this
I
all?
think, yeah, Prabhu, I think you specified that point in one of the previous classes, and also as Srila Prabhupada said, they will be actually no matter how much awareness and how much good effort you put in to educate people on Krishna consciousness. Out
Hmm.
of millions and billions of souls, only few hundreds and thousands only will be
Yes,
realizing that.
correct.
So I
Yes,
think that is the fact around now what we are seeing,
yes,
and I think it is impossible to make the whole world to
yes,
change into this, right? So
exactly.
only a tiny portion of the people only will be, you know, will be
Yes,
having this spiritual path.
yes, yes, yes. That's also true. Yes, correct.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. But our goal is to continue practicing from our end,
Yeah.
because to at least get those innocent souls who wants to, because someone would have done this for me, right? If someone would
Ex-
have given this knowledge to me, so it's my duty to give it back, or make someone innocent who wants to practice this at least, but he's innocent and he's not knowing, to at least give them a chance to practice. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's at the same time it's true that not everyone is able to understand this and able to follow this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If and just to give you example, like every time when we start this classes of Bhakti Yoga, in the first session 25-30 people will come, and
Yeah.
slowly the number goes
They will
down
drop down.
and
Yeah.
down.
I was
And
about to say
then
the same, Prabhu. Like,
yes,
thank you very much for your, hard work and dedication. Because yesterday, I know that I have physically seen you, right? Even though you had a long day, you
mm,
still, took the class today. And even though the attendees are just two of us, you
yes,
still took a long
yes,
class. Because at
yeah,
personal level, being having a family and all, I do understand, the household, wives and
yeah,
children, we have so many things on the weekend, right?
yes, yes,
On the top of that, you're sparing 1.5 hours of every Sunday is really appreciable. Thank you so
yes,
much for that.
yes, yes, yes. Because I have come to this understanding that not everyone will be able to practice, and then what, why the at least the couple of people or 3 people or 4 people who are able to attend, that's my success. Like even if I can
I know, I know.
tell
Yeah.
this thing or communicate this to few people, because I'm doing this as my service to
Mm.
please the Lord, or as in the service of the Lord or Srila Prabhupada, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Lord only
I,
sees.
I saw the video, the same words said by Srila Prabhupada also, Bhakti
Yes,
Prabhupada. He was telling like, no matter how many countries I travel and how much I write and how much effort I put in, even if I am successful to change even one individual, I
hmm.
consider that as a huge
And
success.
success. Yes, yes,
Mm.
yes, yes. So we just imbibe that same mood and try to follow in their footsteps with limited time which we had. And you're right, like we as a householder has so many other stuff to
Yeah,
do.
I
and,
know.
and yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
spending 2 hours, like this
Yeah.
is not a small thing. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, but at the same time, now see, I derive personal pleasure. Tell you the secret, when I speak about this for 1 hour,
I know.
I derive so much personal pleasure that keeps me going
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, exactly. That keeps you motivated.
That
And
keeps me
yeah,
motivated. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it doesn't matter to me if 50 people comes up or 10 people or 2 people. Yeah,
yeah,
because Yeah, I'm not doing for this thing. Like certain people, they now today is the age of YouTube, right? You go YouTuber and then do that. You try to become famous by
I
creating a
know.
YouTube channel. All that stuff is also there. Some people have that, but that's not again like not bhakti, right? That's again you are doing something for your own thing, right? That's we'll discuss that aspect. That's called a weed. Sometimes people wants that, and that's true. Like name, fame, position, people all that humans, everyone has that tendency that I should
Yeah,
be
that's true.
respected, I should be honored, I should be this,
Yeah,
that, I have big position. So yeah, people want to become famous today by
I know. I know.
Insta, this thing, and so they create certain things to become famous. But that's
I know.
good to know. One day I hope we'll meet in person and talk. Yeah.
Sure, Prabhu. I will drop in Milton Temple sometime because
Yeah.
your classes are quite inspiring and enriching to me. I will shoot. I thought of speaking to you yesterday itself, but you're
Yeah.
quite busy, but so I could not get an opportunity to say namaste to you.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. Let me know
Okay.
whenever you come to Milton, yeah, or
Sure.
otherwise also not you are not far North York, or maybe I can invite you someday to my home also. Let's
Sure, Prabhu.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
See you next week. Huh?
See you. Bye.